What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today we are finishing out our NFL division predictions by talking about the AFC West, who many think could be the best division in football this year, with the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders now after they've added Geno Smith and they've got Genty now, and they've still got Bowers and new coaching staffs. So the whole shebang they overhauled. Can they compete at the top of this division? But before we get into it, Matt, Theo, on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Speaking of this division, I was at Mile High yesterday for the Broncos preseason game. And what did I learn? I learned that Jared Stidham is pretty much Joe Burrow. Like, he threw for 240 yards in the first half. He was cooking. I also learned that Zach Wilson did not wear number 3 when he was there. I memory hold the Russ era in Denver. And I got to the stadium, and I was there with my friend who's a big Broncos fan and a big Drew Lock fan. So we were trying to find a Drew Lock jersey. And all these number 3s kept walking by, and I kept seeing Wilson on the back of all of them, and I was genuinely crashing out because I thought they were all Zach Wilson. I was like, how is it even possible that there's one person with a Zach Wilson jersey, much less every number 3 that we see? And it was one of the most popular jerseys in the stadium. And I was like I had my hands like over my mouth, like I was like, oh my, like I was freaking out. I was like losing faith in my city. I'm like, how does everyone love Zach Wilson this much? Like, Russ did not even occur to me until I had seen like 30 of these jerseys. It was a very embarrassing moment for me when I realized.
They've recovered incredibly well from that. It's pretty crazy, honestly.
They traded for Sean Payton, dude. They sunk more resources, right? They traded a first and second for Sean Payton, right?
You got to give them credit. It's easy to turn. Well, it's not easy, but it's possible to make turnarounds like this in the NFL. I think that's what makes the league so interesting, right? Where I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking of examples, but like doing this in the NBA is a complete different beast. You
would never trade for a coach. You would never be able to like just trade for Joe Mazzulla. Or
right. Trading for coaches, not so much. And I don't think it quite matters as much. I don't think coaches in the NBA are quite as important. Although it's probably still a little bit understated. Regardless, it's cool that you got to go see the game. I ordered a sleep mask. I'm trying to sleep more. Maybe I need to get one of those like rings or watches that tells you what quality of sleep I'm getting, but also like I know the answer is just bad. I know I'm sleeping horribly. I got a sleep mask though, and I just fuss with it. I know for a fact it's the light though. I love summer. I love it being light out all day. I mean, obviously when it's getting dark at 5:30, that's the worst time of the year. It's miserable, but the trade-off now is that it gets light so early that it wakes me up. And my only options are get 5 hours a night or go to bed, at like 10 or 11. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to be on my phone the whole time, or I'm going to be soon. I'm going to be watching games, and then I'll have an excuse. But it's like I'm going to play Balatro for 4 hours after this instead of just like going right to bed, which I totally could.
The blue light. You got to start.
Part of it's the blue light. Part of it is the fact that I'm not sleeping when I am playing Balatro on my computer. That's even worse than the blue light or whatever. So I've been struggling with that.
I went to bed at 7 a.m. Friday night.
Sheesh. All right, that's a different beast.
Well, I drove to Detroit Thursday night to play a show with my buddy Maxwell Rincon, who's a very good songwriter that I know that Matt and I went to high school with. And after the show, we all went out at like 1 a.m. And then we went back to one of his friend's apartments and played Ticket to Ride. I played Ticket to Ride for the first time ever. And I almost won. I came very close. I lost by 4. I came in second by 4. But I was very drunk. So I didn't go to bed till like 7 a.m. And then I woke up at like 11, still drunk. And then I drove home at 4.
So you're a crazy party animal. Okay.
I am. But we're here. talking about
We're
the
talking
AFC
about
West.
the AFC West. Do we want to start with the Broncos since we've already brought them up?
Why not?
well.
Why not talk about the Broncos?
I think they're going to be pretty good. I'm kind of in on Denver. We've talked before about how their defense potentially could be one of, if not the single best unit in the NFL. And I know you have your doubts, Theo, about whether or not like maybe some of the stats are in their favor a little bit too much from last year because they had some big time plays and there's
Week
variance
18.
with that, which is totally
18.
fair. I think that's completely valid. But at the same time, I think on paper they look really good. I think they've got great pass rush. They've got a true number one cornerback, obviously. And I like their additions of Hunger and Greenlaw. Like there's a lot to get excited about with this defense as a whole. So I still think it's going to be one of the best in the NFL, even if like maybe there's a world where the turnovers or the sacks don't come as much this year in terms of like, just getting the breaks to go that way, and they finish 6th overall. And while offensively, I think they might look relatively similar to what they were last year, I actually think there's a little bit more meat on the bone for them to take a step when it comes to the rushing game. I think something that we've maybe been sleeping on a little bit is the fact that they have a pretty good offensive line. They've got some really good, Miners is an excellent player, right? They're not a bad blocking team, but their rushing talent, the guys they had carrying the ball last year were, I'd say, bottom 5, right? Maybe you could even call it the worst situation in the NFL in terms of the running back room. I mean, Javonte Williams, I think, is really not very good at all, and he led the team in carries, and he averaged 3.7 yards a carry. And this year, they brought in Dobbins, who I think is better, and they've brought in R.J. Harvey, who I think could be a major step, even if he wasn't somebody who I was super locked in on before the draft. And I know when you talk about like running backs, the impact is a little bit less than other positions, of course. And unless it's like a true superstar, it might not feel like, well, are we going to really expect more out of that? And it's not an unfair analysis, but I really do think like the offense really did not look that bad for Denver the back half of last year. And Bo Nix, I still think some of the limitations with him are the limitations, but ultimately he's a guy who runs a lot and he gets rid of the ball and he doesn't take sacks and he can still stretch the field deep, even if it's not like hitting all the throws that, a top tier guy who went number 1 overall would, right?
Sure.
So I think that maybe Nix doesn't take like a crazy sophomore leap, but I do think that he proved to be a pretty good QB. I think the offense is going to be pretty decent. I think they're going to be in the running for this division for sure.
I mean, they were the number 1 pass rush or pass block and run block win rate team in the NFL last year, according to ESPN. For their rushing offense to be like league average is pretty disappointing.
And they don't need Harvey to be like a superstar or anything like that. They just need no one to be as bad as Javonte Williams was last year. I mean, Javonte Williams averaged 3.7 yards per carry last year.
Dude.
I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin was at
behind
4.4,
arguably the best offensive
right?
line in football. Yeah, like that's horrible.
Audric Estime was at 4.1 and a 54% success rate. So like just removing Harvey from the equation, like you'd expect the run offense to get better just with the subtraction of Williams and more carries going to those other guys. And there's good reason to believe that Harvey's better than both. Although I still think McLaughlin can factor in. That's one thing I've taken away from both Broncos preseason games is like Harvey is in there and he looks good for sure.
Yeah.
But then McLaughlin spells him after, and McLaughlin is like tearing it up. So
yeah, I mean, I
really thought Harvey looked good.
He
did look good.
He looks sharp.
Harvey and McLaughlin and Estime should like behind this run blocking, and Nix can carry it too. Like there's no reason for this rushing. They have Dobbins too. They have Dobbins too, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a lot of options better than the primary back they had last year.
Yeah, it was rough.
And they're a well-coached team on top of that. I mean, I don't think the receiver talent is super crazy here or anything. Although Evan Ingram absolutely has a role, even if like people are always mad at him because of the hands, right? And in an offense that wants to get the ball out quick a lot and let guys run, like you could see a world where he puts up big numbers and ends up being like a crucial part of the offense. But I question a little bit what the ceiling is with the offense. That is where I agree, especially when you compare it to like the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bills, which inevitably is what you're going to run into expectation wise if the Broncos really are as good as we want them to be. That's a fair point to make. But at the same time, like, I don't know, if the Broncos were to be the team that makes the divisional round amongst those three, assuming like normal injury health shit for, the other major contenders, that would be a big step in the right direction. So I'm kind of in on this Denver team.
I think the offensive additions are somewhat nice, Harvey and Ingram, I think, and that they can be good, but it's ultimately going to come down to Bo. It's not like they added a Stephon Diggs in his prime or an AJ Brown in his prime or anything like that. And I just don't really believe in Nix. I just don't trust the season he just had. I think when you look at how they played against playoff teams, they scored 6 points versus Pittsburgh week 2, 16 versus LA week 6, 10 points versus Baltimore week 9, 14 versus Kansas City the first time around, 27 against LA in week 16, and that's a good showing, but then 7 against Buffalo. And like we said in the AFC East podcast, Buffalo did not hold up against any other playoff offense except for Denver.
It's incredibly fair.
They were able to shut down. And Nick's even he was good on early downs. He was good against bad teams, but against good defenses and in situations where they knew he was going to pass it, they were one of the worst passing offenses in football. There were a lot of screens. There was a lot of shit that Peyton manufactured up. And I think the fact that Nick's had such severe training wheels and his splits were so severe, I just think they're going to be one of those teams that had a great defense and stuck into the playoffs, the 7th seed, right, one season, and then just the weirdness and the variance hits them, and they just find themselves on the outside looking in. I don't like that they lost that game to Cincy at the end of the year. That was a playoff environment, right? And they took the L and then they got boat raced by Buffalo. Like I said, they just didn't ever passed my diamond test when you put it on them. So,
they won a game against Cleveland 41-32, and in that game, Bo Nix was 18 for 35, 1 touchdown, 2 picks.
Yeah, he was very up and down. He had that one great shot to Mims. It was like a 95-yard touchdown, but he also threw just some of the strangest interceptions.
And if Winston doesn't throw 2 pick sixes, the Browns win that game.
For sure. And I think about the Colts game too. The Colts game, they put up 31 points and their offensive DVOA was -48. Nick's every time he threw into the teeth of the defense in that game, it was picked. So I just don't trust it. I just don't trust the quarterback.
Not unfair. And when they played Buffalo in the playoffs, it wasn't that they lost. It's that they lost, and as you're watching, maybe this is just total vibe crap nonsense, so you can skip 15 seconds of the pod. But it felt like they had no chance. It felt like they were never going to go and do something crazy in that game. And it's they just, I think it'll be a better version of last year's offense. I do think the rushing game, there is a lot of meat on the bone. It could be one of the better rushing games in the NFL. And the short game stuff, it's good, but I totally agree. Maybe the reality is teams have seen this Broncos offense for a year now, and they say, we know what the key in on, and we know if we can get Nix in tough situations, it's not going to work out. So we'll see. He's also a guy going into second year. Maybe there can be some growth there, but it is true.
But he had 1,900 attempts in college, right?
He's an older rookie, or he was. It's a completely fair point to make. So again, this defense could be so legendarily good that an all right offense is still enough to find you 11, 12 wins, and maybe they do something like that. But then the story of the season is they're not that great against good defenses, and they struggle in those games, and they still lose a handful. And you're they're really consistent against the bad teams, and it helps their win percentage because they're well coached and the defense is so good. So if a bad quarterback goes up against them, they're getting scared and running off the field when they see Pat Surtain roll on or whatever. But it might not be enough to like really go toe to toe with anybody super serious. I think it's a fair point.
Yeah, I think I'm very interested to see what direction the defense goes this year. Like, they actually added to that. And I think a big reason, why it felt like they had no chance in that Bills game was because of the run defense. Like, the Bills were just picking up 5 yards every single time they ran the ball. Like, Josh Allen didn't even do anything that crazy until the Ty Johnson touchdown in that game. Like, it felt like he was actually playing a little bit poorly for a playoff game by his standards. And it just didn't matter. They were running up the score because he could just hand it off. And it was like 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. Against Baltimore, they allowed 41, and Lamar had a perfect passer rating. They ended the season, like you said, Blaiden, allowing 30 points to Cleveland, 34 to LA, 30 to Cincinnati. So their defense, if they made no additions, I'd say their defense is certainly going to regret. Like, they didn't pass the diamond test either. But is it going to actually become legit this year with Greenlaw, with Hufanga, with Barron? Because those are big time additions, as big as any free agent move that got made. So I'm really interested to see which way the defense swings, because I could see it becoming legendary. I could see those guys entering a situation where they're already like, a top 3 defense at worst, right. Like, and it's just going crazy, kind of like Saquon going behind that Eagles offensive line, right? Or I could see just the power of regression being too much, and Greenlaw and Hufanga not being good enough. Like, they're not Saquon.
I mean, it's something we praise Howie Roseman and the Eagles for all the time, is like they will see that they have a strength on their team and they will just make it stronger. Right? They're like, yeah, we were good here, but there were still weaknesses that we can improve on. There's still ways to add depth. And I thought that's what Denver did this offseason for their defense. I kind of feel like I am going to be more in on them, just because, yes, they could struggle against good defense. How many good defenses do they play this year? They go Tennessee, Indianapolis, LA, Cincy, Philly, New York, Dallas, Houston, Vegas, Kansas City, Washington. Like,
there's some good defenses in there.
There are some, but like,
there's a lot of very beatable defenses.
There's a lot of very bad defenses.
Rattling through it, I count 3 defenses and maybe like 8 where I'm like, maybe they got some juice, but nothing too crazy. I mean, right. we'll say again. I just think there's a better version of what they were last year. Maybe the variance gets them, but they're definitely better. I really. I mean, Harvey could go crazy. If they hit on Harvey, he's going to go nuts behind that. And it's going to be a massive difference. Throwing away 150 carries on Javonte Williams is just brutal for an offense.
Yeah, it really was.
And I know I've brought this up like 10 times. It is shocking that the Cowboys went him and Miles Sanders. It is the craziest move of the entire offseason almost. Well, I mean, because Sanders is basically the same way, where it's like, this guy's doing significantly worse than all of his peers.
Yeah.
And in Carolina, and they signed him. Regardless,
I'm in on Javonte for fantasy this year, though. By the way,
maybe he catches. I don't know. Maybe he catches like a bunch.
He's going to
catch
you some passes.
Yeah,
but you're right. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. But I'm in on it for fantasy.
Yeah, you look at Javonte Williams and Tyler Algier were neck and neck in carries, and Algier had a whole yard per carry more. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and it's almost true with like the guys who are just on the team. And here, I don't even think Estime is good. I mean, Estime is like I don't even know if Estime is going to make the roster, dude.
Right.
He might not. So it's like, and he's beating out Williams. And, yeah. So that's going to make a big deal. And I just think in general, with like the sort of like adding to your strengths, I think with that stuff, it just comes down to the hard part about team building is just finding and adding good players in general. So if it's already a strength, but you feel confident that, like, I don't know, there's a linebacker, safety, or whatever out there, whoever at any position that can help you and will be good, take them, don't worry about need, and then immediately you turn around and you don't care. Like, you know who I'm thinking about right now? He's been getting a ton of hype recently, and granted, he hasn't done anything, but like Egbuka. We haven't even gotten to the season yet, and immediately that pick has turned from like, they kind of have a lot of receivers to it's awesome that they picked him and he looks awesome, and the receivers, like, the need ended up being actually they could use another receiver, and it's worked out fine. So I think any team that just ignores the year to year noise of what the roster looks like to some extent is going to end up better off.
Yeah. I do like the offseason that they had. I do. And I think, Blaiden, you're right that they're like the Eagles in that they didn't add the positional value like stud. They didn't add like a crazy wide receiver for Knicks. They didn't add like a crazy edge rusher. They added a tight end, a linebacker, a safety, a running back, a nickel, and that's what you're getting excited about.
Damn, they really did just do like
Barron is also super good.
Barron is super good.
Player.
I loved Barron.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I do like the off season they had. I just
ran
don't
the table on the anti-positional value.
No linemen, no wide receiver, no quarterback, no outside corner.
Well, they went positional value last year, I guess, with the Knicks pick and whatnot. And he was like QB6 or whatever. So
they did.
Yeah, I like him a decent amount. Do you guys want to move on to
the Raiders?
Kansas City. Okay, the Raiders.
The Raiders.
The autumn wind is a pirate. Another team that I liked their offseason. I liked a lot of their moves. Carroll is old, but that's a good head coach hire, I should say. Geno is old, but that's about the best thing they could have done at quarterback by my calculations, at least, outside of maybe if they had the first overall and they could have gotten Ward. I'd rather done that, but they didn't and they couldn't. So that wasn't really available to them. And I really like the Genty pick because Genty's super good. I know he had a couple of bad runs in a preseason game, but then he had a couple of good runs in his preseason game, so he's all the way back now. That being said, how good do you guys expect them to actually be?
How good is their defense going to be?
That is the
How
question.
good are their cornerbacks going to be?
Let's just get narrower.
Hey, okay.
Porter is a very cool player. How many snaps did he play?
He was rotational at Iowa State. It was so annoying. He'd be on the field and then just take him off, and I just never seen anything like it from a corner before, they treated him like a running back as part of a committee. Like, why is he on your best corner? And then why would you just pull him for a drive and like totally spell him? And he's also an older rookie. He is super talented though.
He's like 24. I mean, how many? I'm not asking rhetorically. How many snaps did he play in all of college at cornerback?
I don't know. But the defense I was excited about because they missed so many games due to injury last year. Like Kuntz and Wilkins and Crosby hardly got any time together, and those three by themselves could really like crush a quarterback. But now Wilkins is just gone.
Right.
And Wilkins was arguably outplaying Crosby when they were on the field together at the beginning of last year. Like Wilkins was an $100 million man for a reason that is now just out of the picture. And that to me is a huge hit to their defense, dude. Like he's a top 100 player, easily a top 100 player when he's healthy, that I was expecting them to have. And then
they're just not going to.
Maybe they never were because his foot.
They lost a lot of their defense, man. They lost several defenders this offseason too. Not as important as that, but I mean, Hobbs and Spillane and Morig are all gone. And this is a defense that was okay last year, like not great. And it's hard to judge with all the injuries, I can agree. But on paper, does it look very complete? Or does it mostly look like, I think the pass rushers will be good and that'll keep them out of the basement. But there's some areas that could be like a disaster. Like corner is relying heavily on a 24-year-old rookie who maybe did play a lot, and maybe I'm misremembering. But I just think it's
a lot. He was a special teamer until his last year, but then he played.
Okay, I was trying to look for his snap count, and I just can't find it to save my life.
It was low.
Regardless,
and that's never a good sign if you can't find it. There are some teams where the ESPN depth chart is just broken, and the Raiders are one of them because they have Jackson Powers-Johnson starting at both center and right guard. And they've got Jamal Adams playing both corner and weak side linebackers. So
he's definitely pressing people this year.
He's definitely pressing people this year. But so you have to look at the Our Lads depth chart for them. That's usually more accurate. But yeah, there's just like I can't get into their defense this year. I mean,
it's going to be
okay.
Yeah, they've got it listed as Porter and Stokes as the starting cornerbacks, man. It's like that's just hard to buy into, and it's just hard to buy into their defense as a whole. It just doesn't seem like a very complete unit, and I kind of feel the same way about the offense. I feel better about it because I think Geno's a good player.
Yeah.
And I do think, and I think Genty's like a stud, and I think Brock Bowers is a stud. And maybe my mindset is too like, you need receivers when they have receiving weapons as a whole, because I think Besh could be a pretty good player, and I think Myers is a fine player. But I think overall, like, I don't know if they have anybody who's like a true just like X receiver set, and maybe I'm overestimating how much of a negative that is. Yeah,
kind of. I mean, if you were going to go 3.1, if you're going to go 3x1 and isolate somebody, and it was Bowers, like you'd feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. But I'm saying a true X receiver. You can't be like,
you'd rather have a true, like, you'd rather have a bucket.
But Myers
can do that a little bit. Like, I do think Myers is good enough that Geno is going to be like, okay, I can work with this.
Yeah. So maybe I'm underestimating them, and maybe the defense rounds out, or the offensive line rounds out, and the run game's fine, and Geno's cooking, and it's like it all kind of comes together. I think even if it goes well on that end, though, the defense is not that great, and I just don't see like the path to them having an awesome defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, watching this team last year, Hobbs and Merrick were, I mean, forget about Wilkins. Hobbs and Merrick were two of the best players on this defense, and now they're gone. I will say I don't like Spillane. I think that he's going to be pretty easy to replace, but those other two, I don't know. You're counting on Pete Carroll to do an awfully good job, and he's got a good history with secondaries, like maybe the best history with secondaries, but he's been out of football for a year, and this is a totally new organization and players. So is he just going to be able to like develop everybody instantly? Is he going to make Eric Stokes a good corner when he's been terrible his whole career? Like, I don't know. I like Adam Butler. I like Kuntz that they've got him now. I like Max Crosby. But I'm with you that it's hard to lose so much talent on defense and have me feel confident. I mean, it's just a talent thing.
It's weird. And their defense sort of found a way to be like league average-ish in EPA last year.
Yeah.
But they were like,
it's just too close to being a completely different team defensively.
Yeah. They still have Graham as the defensive coordinator, and I think he's fine. I don't think he's a bad DC at all. But yeah, with the secondary, it's too easy to see them getting picked on to project them to grow from last year. I think they'll sink a little bit. But I am really high on the offense. And I think getting Geno, I think everybody feels like us film nerds are overstating Geno and how good he is. I know that that's kind of the general consensus for fans right now is like, okay, it's just Geno Smith, relax. But he's still just the biggest addition of the offseason. And when you get a guy like that who has that kind of impact, things can happen incredibly quickly for you. Like when the Eagles got AJ Brown, who's a wide receiver, they were, outside of the top 10 in offensive EPA, they shoot up to like number 2 or number 3. When the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey, they were, top 5, right? But then they're top 1. When the Bears got Khalil Mack in 2018, they were the 11th best defense by EPA, and then they go up to number 1 with that addition.
The problem is that the Raiders are coming from the basement. They're like 31st in EPA per play last year. Going from that to league to 16th would be a massive improvement. And if we're saying their defense looks worse maybe than last year on paper, then at best this team feels like a very middle of the road team, even if the improvements are there.
Yeah, but at the same time, those other big improvement players that I just listed weren't quarterbacks, and they're adding Genty. So I can see a world where they get top 10 pretty quick. I really, maybe not really 10, good, but top 15. I think that's a pretty safe bet that they'll be above average. I'm going to be dead. I'm going to put that out there. I bet my life. Kill me even if they're one spot below 15th place. You can you can put an end to my days.
In what metric specifically? EPA per play?
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right.
One metric.
They'll be top 15 in wins too. How about that? I'll put in both. But I don't know. I just think there's enough ingredients here for Gino to really cook with. Bowers, I think Myers is going to prove to be quite useful. Genty's going to catch checkdowns and be a tank afterwards. Mayer's kind of an interesting piece. I think they can be able to toggle between 11 and 12 personnel and still have good weapons out there regardless. And I don't think their line is really that bad. Like,
no. I don't know. I mean, there was points. I don't want to overreact. I felt good about Genty behind that line, and then I started to feel bad about it. And then the preseason game, like there was some bad moments, and then I'm like, we'll see.
Those were the backups when the bad moments happened.
Yeah.
And it was the starters playing backups when the good moments happened. Yeah,
that's
far
true.
better.
That's true. So I can get bought into their offense finally after doubting it for the last couple of months. And I really like a lot of their good players. You know what I mean? Like Crosby and Smith and Bowers and Genty. Like those are all guys I really like. But I just think it's way too hard to imagine this defense being good. It's just,
you know what?
It needs a lot.
Do you know what top 15 in wins would have put them at last year?
9?
10.
10? I think they can win 10. They can. I mean, that's not a hot take. They can do anything. 10 is possible. 10 is possible. I mean,
they play a tough
division with them,
man.
is like Cowboys, like Bowers is CD and Gino is Dak and Crosby is Parsons.
And just like, dude, I'm sorry. It's just tough to get bought in on. It's like, I think they're way better. And I just don't think this defense is very complete. And when I look across the division, I think that their defense, and maybe this is a stupid way to judge it, but I think their defense is like the worst side of the ball of any of these 4 teams easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that it's a tough schedule and a tough division where every game is going to be a war, and they're part of that. And maybe they end up like splitting or going 2-4 and working from there. But they're still going to be, even with Gino, like, they're going to be playing Herbert twice and Mahomes twice. And they play the Eagles, I know, on their schedule. They've got really, really tough games on here. So I'm mixed. I like their best players. I like their moves. I think they had a great offseason, and I think they're in a really, really tough division. Mm-hmm. If they were in the AFC, like South or some shit, then it'd be like, awesome. I can pick them to go do, win 14 games or whatever. They're going to play Tennessee 8 times. Great. No offense. But
Tennessee 8 times.
But when they're sitting in the AFC West, it's like every team here, it's like them, and then I'd say 3 teams that would view it as a disappointment if they don't win a playoff game. That's the level that everybody else is on. And again, like, you're counting on Porter and Stokes as your corners, man. That's going to be a lot. And I like Porter. I think Porter's a cool player.
Stokes is terrible, dude. Stokes is awful. Porter could be all pro. You could still pick on Stokes. But what would you rather bet on, though? Herbert with expectations or Geno Smith being slept on?
Well, why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about the Chargers?
Will it be his fault this year?
They got to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think the Chargers are like pretty similar to what they were last year. I don't think they did all that much this offseason to be a wildly different team, no? I mean, the hype that you can have, I guess, is towards the end of the season, the Chargers started throwing the ball a little bit more. And like, I think in the back, like 9 or 8 weeks or whatever, like they were starting to look like a pretty decent offense. And their defense as a whole was like top 10, which maybe there's a little bit of variance in terms of how that EPA what rolls out, but like they were pretty good, right? The issue is like to take a step, the outside receivers truly have to be better. There is no like, well, Brock Bowers and maybe these guys. It's like you have Ladd, who is a largely slot player. I know we were talking about this the other episode, but he's largely more of a slot guy. I think, like what, 65% of the snaps or whatever.
Yep.
And you need these dudes who are going to be like these physical, deep ball, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams in his prime type guys to fit the offense. Trey Harris could do it, but we'll see. It's a big question mark about whether or not he's going to come in and make an immediate impact. And then they go and lose Slater, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to be really working to put together an offensive line that can hold up. Your receiver room, like, needs a big rookie to hit right away to take a serious step like you want. And while I love Hampton, if you have offensive line questions, you're probably not going to have a dominant run game unless he is like, you know, one of the top 5 backs in the NFL, which is just not quite what I see him as, right? So I just think, like, are they going to be limited offensively because of the pieces around Herbert again?
Yeah.
I know nobody wants to hear that. I know that's, you know, making everybody's eyes roll and whatever and whatnot, but like that's probably where we're headed. It seems like the most likely.
People whose eyes rolls are just denying reality, right? And they think that they must be mystified why Khalil Mack getting added to the Bears in 2018 made the team better. Or they must be mystified why Stephon Diggs for Josh Allen made the team better. Like, yeah, it is going to be rough for Herbert to put up crazy numbers when Rashawn Slater is out for the year and the receiving core looks like below average again. Like, it's nice to have Ladd 100%, and he cooked with Ladd. But, like, come playoff time and come big games, like, where are they actually going to be creating an advantage?
And they brought in, like, Keenan Allen again, you know. And it's like, that's just not the type of move that a good receiver room makes to round. Like, that's a little panicky is how it reads.
I mean, he's going to start.
Yeah, like, it's not great. You just, one receiver cannot make you consistent and well-rounded like Ladd. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
You've got to have the guys on the outside who are consistently winning, or there's only so much that dudes can do. And a great running back or a good running back like Hampton cannot alone make the rushing game great. You need, you know, like you
Slater.
need the offensive line to step up. You need Slater. And it's like, otherwise you could be like, if they still had Slater and it was Alton, like, cool, the Becton ad, and then it's like Hampton will be a big upgrade from Dobbins or whatever. Cool. Instead, it feels like the offensive line probably hasn't taken a step forward if they're already dealing with a massive injury to a key tackle.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's just frustrating.
It's just frustrating. And I didn't love I thought Becton was a weak link for the Eagles offense last year. Like, I don't think he was fine, I guess, but it seems like everybody on that Eagles line gets immortalized, right? Like, holy cow, they're an Eagles lineman, and it's Mekhi Becton. Like, it's just Mekhi Becton, guys. It's not going to solve all your problems. Alt is the only positive player on this line that I can see. So I just don't see Amarian Hampton having like a good rookie season. I see it all being on Herbert's shoulders again. And over the past like 3 seasons, I think Herbert has done a pretty admirable job, obviously, like shouldering this type of load and putting it all on his shoulders and making the passing attack like slightly above average when it would be, you know, the worst in the league. I don't know if his backups have won a single game, you know, like since he's been on the team, right? But it's still just slightly above average, as good as he is. And that's what it feels like they're headed straight towards this year, is like an extremely average offense. And I don't think they're going to play football the way they want to play it. Like, their rushing offense was so bad last year that they had the second highest pass rate in neutral situations in the whole league post week 7. And I know that that's a lot of like filters or whatever, but like it's weird for a Harbaugh team. Like, yeah, it's very weird for a Harbaugh team to be, you know, 1st and 10 passing the ball at the second highest rate in the league behind the Bengals for a significant chunk of time, right? And I think Herbert can do that. And again, the offense probably got better when they started doing that because of him, but it's not something that's going to, you want Herbert with balance. You want Herbert with a run game for the first time in his career. Like, that's what's going to change things for the Chargers. And if you don't get better, or if you stay the same, you get worse. And it felt like the Chargers had kind of done that before the Slater injury, like kind of stayed the same, unless Trey Harris was like a massive hit. And I just don't know if he's going to be that.
So what would it take? So we're saying offense probably is best case scenario the same as last year, unless the Trey Harris breakout, of course. What about the defense? Do you think it
don't
could
know.
be? Because if the defense is like top 5,
I don't know if I consider the defense top 5. Where do we have them ranked when we did the
that's a good question. Where did
top
we have
10?
them ranked?
I don't think it was top
It
5.
was-
I think
it wasn't
You
top.
had him. They were. We didn't put him in the top 10. I think Matt, you had him, and then for us, we just didn't see the talent to stave off again regression.
I think I had him at like 9 or 8 or something like that. I think it's a pretty good unit, but again with the Chargers, we gotta zoom out and think about expectations. We're not wondering, it's like, can they win like 10 games? Like, yeah, they can win 10 games. Can they win 11 games or whatever? Can they push for the division if like nobody else steps up? Maybe. Are they going to go be a serious contender in the AFC? No.
Yeah,
They're not going to. There's teams with better defenses out there who have offenses that work, with quarterbacks who are also better. And, I like Herbert, but he's not a true tier 1 guy like the tier 1 guys in the AFC.
Yep, I agree.
So this is a team to me that I think has an offense that's kind of limited and a defense that's good, not great, that does have some question marks of its own, mind you. Like, what happens if Khalil Mack finally takes a step back? They've been living off of him still being a great player for a long time. But if, how old is he? He's got to be 34, 35, right? He's been in the league for a very long time.
He's 34.
So I'm outside of that, I don't really have a ton of faith in their pass rush. And I just think as a whole, like, I don't disagree about there maybe not being the most talent on the Chargers defense overall, where you look at it and you say, hey, here's a bunch of guys who are like going to be competing for first team All-Pro, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We had them as an honorable mention, and they were the last honorable mention in our top 10. So
Okay.
I mean, they lost Joey Bosa. They lost Morgan Fox. They lost Poona Ford. They lost the corner, Fulton, on the defense. And I like Tuli Pelopu, and I think I botched that name. I like Jamari Caldwell a ton, right? But if Jamari Caldwell hits, what is he? Like, he's Poona Ford. And if Tuli hits, what is he? Like,
They got a
maybe he's better than Joey Bosa if he's healthy.
the mystery box could be anything.
The mystery box could be anything. They were 6th in sacks last year, and they were 18th in pressure rate.
Right.
So it's just a little bit like, they've lost some talent. There's some numbers that are a little bit funky. Like, maybe that sack rate is so high because Minter's just a great defensive coordinator and he dials up like crazy sim pressures. And I think he is very good, but like, still, like, you lose a little bit of talent.
You lose some defensive line talent. You're a team that likes to be very light up front. Like, yeah, it's totally worth worrying about.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to get a Herbert playoff win this year. I don't even know if we'll get Herbert in the playoffs. I mean, there's been plenty of times when and Matt, does karma exist for Jim Harbaugh?
I was actually going to speak about this a little bit. I decided to pass over it, but I'll gladly get into it. Michigan and Michigan's players won't have to pay for the obvious cheating. I'm sorry, like, they definitely did it, but they deleted all the evidence and ran, so we're not going to do anything. You can call me biased, but that's crazy. That's nuts. What kills me about it is, like, why would the NCAA even say that? What was the point of making that statement where it's like, oh yeah, like, we're just not going to punish them? I would have just said nothing. I would have said, here's a light punishment. It's just money. That's it. And not been like, also, we couldn't tell because Sharon Moore deleted all of his text messages. But karma does exist, unfortunately. Like, somebody is going to pay, even if it's not, Michigan getting its wins vacated or whatever. And unfortunately, it probably will be Justin Herbert, it seems, as always. So,
yep.
There's some variance with the defense we're worried about. I don't know if the offense took a step. There's some karmic debt to be repaid.
The vibes are bad.
It's looking like it might not be Herbert's fault again.
I agree.
I thought they had a good offseason last year, and this year I think it was only all right. Like, even as a Hampton bro, if I'm being realistic, like 18, pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty high for Hampton. And it's, and you're sitting here like, I know this is one pick before, but it's like you're sitting here watching Gray Zabel ball out for the Seahawks, and it's like, man, yeah, I'm not positional value pilled, but it is going to be probably a situation where the run game is dependent more on the offensive line here than the running back. So as a whole, I'm not super crazy stoked about them, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I think the vibes are as bad here as with any team. Herbert can overcome bad vibes to some extent, but he's missed the playoffs plenty of time in his career. There's plenty of times where
Herbert will figure it out, I'm sure.
Or maybe this will be the year where everyone, including Stay Hot's, counting them out, and they finally rally.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. I mean,
they picked up.
If Quentin Johnston continues his improvement, because he did get better from 2022 to 2023 to 2024, and if Trey Harris is good, and if that one random tight end from Syracuse is good. No, the Syracuse one with the funny name that I can't pronounce.
It's slipping, man.
If Will Dissly doesn't drop that pass this time when they go and play the Texans, if he just gets the game started on the right foot, maybe things won't spiral from there.
And you know who else they have? They have Dante Jackson now.
Nice.
And I'm seeing him starting in several depth charts that I've checked now. So that does not bode particularly well.
But shout out Justin Herbert, though. The most accurate quarterback in the league, as far as I'm concerned. I was doing that exercise, the Orlovsky, where he's ranking the quarterbacks in each specific trait. And I think Herbert's number one in accuracy. So I was going through it.
I feel like it might be Lamar.
Not in accuracy, I don't think.
Dude, Lamar hit some absolute crazy throws.
Put Burrow and Stroud up there as well.
And Stroud. I think Geno is up there in terms of pure accuracy.
Geno's a good pick too.
Burrow is certainly up there. Jaden is up there after last year too.
Yeah.
But
I like that.
I think accuracy is so tied to arm talent, I think. And so it really helps out when you've got an arm like Herbert's, and then he just attempts the craziest window throws in the league. Like, say what you will about him, I think we can all agree that he hits more hole shots than anybody else. Like, he layers more.
He's been the best at that since he was a rookie.
So that's why I give him the edge, because I just feel like he attempts the most like outrageous things and hits the most outrageous things. So
I think that's a little more arm talent than accuracy, but that's also kind of semantics more than it is.
And it's so tied together, right? Like you just need to. You need a crazy arm to be accurate in certain windows. Otherwise, you're just not going to attempt those window throws, right?
Sure.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Well, that brings us to the Kansas City Chiefs, who they have dominated this division for quite some time now, and they've dominated the AFC for quite some time. Is there any reason to believe that they won't continue their empire? Will it end this year by any chance?
What do you think? Blaiden, can you see them in a fourth straight Super Bowl?
A fourth straight Super... Here's the problem, right? We've kind of penciled in Philly for the NFC to some extent, whereas the other three top teams are all in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at Baltimore as like, dude, they might be perfect.
Yeah.
They're great. Their quarterback is great. We look at the Bills, we're like, they could be due. They're great. Their quarterback is great. And like the Chiefs still have Mahomes. They still have Spags. They still have Kelsey, Andy Reid, and Kelsey, even though he's old, but they still have the chemistry, and he can still do some things. And they've got Chris Jones, who's a beast, and Karlaftis, who's really good. And their receivers need to be better than they were last. Like they cannot. I think that's going to be the make or break thing for them. If their receivers are, if they cannot stretch the field vertically, I think teams are just going to.
That's not what I'm worried about with them.
Really?
I think the receivers will be better. I honestly have no question about that, barring
Rice,
like Rashee Rice suspension or whatever. If Rice is good to go and Worthy is continuing on this path and you get Brown, actually, like, they will have a better receiving core. There's not any doubt about that. That's the one part of the team I'm like confident in being upgraded from last year, right? And Rice is a great player. And Hollywood was looking.
I do like Rice. I'm always worried about him, man.
Yeah.
He's going to get suspended at some point, but when is that?
When and for how long?
And how many? I mean, so the NFL suggested 10, and maybe it gets pushed to next year, and he's going to be able to play the first few games, and blah, like whatever. Offensive line wise, I mean, Tooney's gone, but they added Josh Simmons, and I do think Josh Simmons is a great player. I think there was a great ad at 31. That's somebody I'm particularly high on. So I do have some expectation that he's going to be all right, but certainly they're not going to have like a strong 1 through 5 on offense, right? Like there's going to be some issues and some holes there. And maybe most importantly, last year, how did their defense finish? Really not that great. I mean, in the Super Bowl, certainly not. They let up 40 points. But as a whole, like, they defensively did not grade out that spectacularly last year. And they didn't really make a bunch of big moves for their defense this offseason. And it's mostly going to be, we have Chris Jones and we have McDuffie and we have Spags. And that alone should keep us at a certain decent competitive level that we can go give anybody a good fight. But they've won some Super Bowls off the back of a great defense. They won't be doing that next year. They're not going to win a Super Bowl off the back of a great defense. If they're going to continue being the Kansas City dynasty, it's going to be because Mahomes is back to like MVP level numbers in the passing game, which I do think like even if you are like Mahomes is Mahomes and I don't doubt him and I rank him 1, it's easy to be like, is that really going to happen? Because we've been saying this for like, 2 years in a row now? And it does feel like, it's getting a little Kyle Pitts-esque this time, I swear, bro. But this time I do kind of think it'll be different, even though there is like a little bit of reason to believe that it might not. I think the passing game will explode and that'll save them, but
and that's all on the receivers.
I have some questions about the team as a whole, and I do think while I buy into Mahomes and I buy into Andy Reid and their stars are their stars, and like don't get too low on them. I also have to say, like, I watched OSU win the national title last year. I can't say like, well, the Ravens haven't gotten them yet, so they never will, and you're so stupid if you don't think that like this, or you think this year could be different. This year could absolutely be different. Very well. And that's the same for the Bills. This year could be different. They've played a lot of tough, close games, and any year could be the one that you get them. And there's a lot of spots in this Chiefs team that is one injury away from the season is over. I guess that's true for every team on some level, but like, even if Rashee Rice is like gone, like I'm starting to get pretty nervous. Like how complete is the receiving core without him? Not super, not very. And Worthy didn't have like the biggest role all of last year. There's serious questions. I think in the end, it's going to end up with the Chiefs passing offense takes a big step, and they're still like clutch in games because they've got this great QB, but I don't think this is the strongest version of them at all.
Yeah, I think that if they played the Ravens, the defensive slippage might catch up to them. Like, I tweeted this on December 8th, so maybe it changed a little bit by the end of the year. But at that point, 13 games through the year, they had fallen from 95th percentile points allowed per drive on defense in 2023 to 43rd percentile in 2024. It was a big drop from a per drive perspective. Now, people didn't notice because the offense got so much better at sustaining drives. They turned the ball over far less. So the defense just wasn't on the field very much. So it didn't like look like anything was wrong. but you could tell like they are just not as strong as they used to be. Like this is just not the same caliber of Spags defense that there's always been. And they just have it. They lost Justin Reed. Like Chris Jones is another year older. Like, am I forgetting somebody? Like, is there a reason to believe that all of a sudden this is going to turn around, or could it continue to keep falling down? That is my concern with the Chiefs and going to the Super Bowl.
You know, here's the positive outlook. All these things were true about them, and then some, with the receivers like panning out poorly last year, and they made the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like this team, is this team better or worse than last year's team?
If they have all of their receivers, probably better.
Probably better.
And Pacheco. I mean, Pacheco's not like a world beater, but I mean,
the only big thing in terms of like maybe this is a massive loss is Tooney. And maybe that makes the run game like less consistent with like success rate stuff. But even towards the end, like Tooney was out at tackle, and that wasn't his strongest point. And I kind of buy in again to Simmons. So I think they might be better than they were last year, but I don't think that necessarily like means that we get the same results.
Probably not going to win like 15, 16 games.
Yeah.
But
and there's a close game regression too, right? Like,
I mean, they were like 9-0, and once were or something psychotic.
The Raiders like fumbled a snap, and like there was doinked field goals, and like all these crazy things that made them win. And
they won back-to-back games, 19-17. Week 13
right.
14.
So I don't think they'll win 15 games again, but you can't count them out, even though they've got some of these flaws, because Mahomes is Mahomes, and he can just lock in. And he's not quite like Kyle Pitts because he's Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
he's the best quarterback I've ever seen.
There was a time, there was a long stretch of years where Aaron Rodgers like wasn't putting up Aaron Rodgers like numbers anymore.
Yeah.
And then they got LaFleur, and Devontae Adams broke out, and he won 2 MVPs in a row. And if Mahomes is protected from his blind side this year, which he hasn't been in years, it feels like, that's just been like a huge liability on a championship contender. Like the left tackle is losing instantly. If Simmons can prevent that from happening, he can easily offset the loss of Tooney, because like you said, Matt, Tooney was out of position and not like a major positive through the playoffs last year, right? Like Simmons should be a better left tackle than Tooney was. So if he's protected there and the receiving core gets better, I can see Mahomes contending for the MVP again. I really can.
Yep. And I don't want to get too low on Mahomes, because
I mean, people already are getting too low on Mahomes.
I saw in your consensus quarterback ranking that Josh Allen surpassed Mahomes as QB1.
I think I just checked so the way I have it set up is the API updates a JSON file once a day, just so that it's not like, I don't want it to be every time someone loads the consensus, it has to like recall the entire database again. No, it would be too slow. So I just checked that, and I'm pretty sure Mahomes is back to 1, but it's like this.
But it's neck and neck, right? I don't know, and I don't even know if it's crazy. Like, there's a couple other quarterbacks who are going nuts right now, but I do have my questions about the Chiefs as a whole. I don't think there's some perfectly stacked, beautiful dynasty team. I think they've got great stars. That what makes them so good year to year. I think there's parts that could be better, and I think there's parts that are still going to be a struggle. I don't know. They're not my pick to go to the Super Bowl this year, I don't think.
The Ravens have a better roster. The Ravens have a better roster, no doubt. The Ravens have like just one of the best rosters I've ever seen.
They're so good.
So it's kind of tough to predict the Chiefs to be back for a 4th straight time, but I think they'll win this division. I think they could beat the Ravens. Like, I could see it. I feel like people don't want to see it, and it's a little bit taboo to suggest the Chiefs being back. But I'm a little scared that Simmons could be such a good draft pick. I'm a little scared. Not scared. I don't really care if the Chiefs go to 4. I really don't. So
I would like to see. I'd like to see Lamar and Josh Allen get one, if I'm being honest. That's my personal. I have nothing against the Chiefs. Like, I don't hate them. In fact, like Sean Payton, I'm a Panthers fan. He's evil. Jim Harbaugh, obviously evil. So really, if anything, they're the light in the darkness to me. But
true.
I want to see
I do want to see Rashee Rice get suspended. If he goes the whole year not suspended or something, that's ridiculous. Like, he's literally on camera, like, walking away from this crash. Like, isn't this against some sort of conduct policy? Like, why can't we get this figured out?
It is bizarre, the whole thing. I mean, we'll see what happens. I also like, I take a look at the Ravens defense and I say, if something happens to like Humphrey, is it game over disaster? Not really. It'd be bad, but it wouldn't be a disaster. Or if something happens to, Matabike or even like Hamilton, it doesn't feel like that's it. Pack them up. There's a couple of stars on the Chiefs defense, and it's like if something happens to them,
there's one,
like,
McDuffie and
yeah.
Jones,
If McDuffie goes down, it's over. If Chris Jones goes down, it's over. I guess that's true for a lot of teams. Again, I've already said this,
but if we're talking about like
the Chiefs are very top heavy. Right. That makes them at larger risk of one injury hurting them and crushing them. That's not a
the
crazy
comparison that we're comparing them to. We're saying they are one of the 4 contenders in the NFL, like the 4 major Super Bowl contenders. The other 3 do not have that problem at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Bills, I mean, they're top heavy in the Josh Allen way, but outside of him, it feels like they're all kind of
quarterback
soldiers.
Is a different animal.
Like,
if all of those teams lost their quarterback, it'd all be over for all of them, probably.
Right,
so we all have the Chiefs winning this division.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you guys have at second?
I'll go Raiders. Why not have a little fun?
I don't know.
You guys clearly have Broncos, right?
Yeah, I've got Broncos, man. I just think the roster's way better. Unfortunately,
I'll go Broncos at 2.
My general take on this division, I don't think it's quite as stacked as people think it is. Like, I think it'll be like Chiefs probably win like 12 games, Broncos probably win like 10 or 11, and then like the Raiders and Chargers probably each win like 8 or 9. But I don't know.
It's still pretty dang good.
It's still pretty dang good, but like.
Maybe the NFC North is better. Maybe.
I think it is. I think it is.
Like, I don't think there's any world where we're like getting. It was like, could all 4 teams make the playoffs? I don't think that'll ever be a conversation this year.
It'd be pretty dang tough. I'll go Chargers, Raiders, I guess. That is my 3 and my 4. It is. I'm looking at last year's standings though. The Chiefs won 15 games and they were 3rd in point differential in the division.
Whoa.
They were 15-2 and they were plus 59 on the year. I mean, that's crazy.
The Broncos were above them. Now, the Week 18 game kills them in that because the Broncos put up 38-0 on their backups.
That's true.
So it is phony and fraudulent. It's still a crazy stat. It's still a crazy stat.
Manny,
but it is fake and fraudulent. I'll go Chargers 3, Broncos 4. I'll stand on business with the Broncos because I said that they'd finished 4th earlier. I really am not feeling great about the Chargers though. So
I think I might put the Chargers last.
Okay, I like that. They 2nd for Matt, 3rd for me. 4th for Blaiden. The vibes will probably be right. One of us will probably be right.
Until they win the division, then we'll all look really stupid.
Dude, what if they just kill the Chiefs in Brazil?
That's true.
Kill them. It happened to the Patriots one time. They played Week 1 and they like got absolutely mauled by. I think it was the Chiefs that mauled the Patriots.
I thought that was.
And then people were like. I thought
like the Patriots were 2-2 and they weren't looking like themselves, and it was
maybe it was,
and then they went on a run from there. That might have been 2018.
Oh,
maybe. I don't remember at all. I know it wasn't. It was sometime they won. Maybe it was 2019 because they won the No, because 2019 they didn't even make it. 2019 was a year where they kind of like
So maybe it would have been
because in 2020 COVID they had Cam.
Would it have been 2017 then? Was that the year they?
It might have been 17. Makes more sense because they didn't immediately turn around and basically
Right.
say,
Yeah. It was week 3. It was week 3, I think. Here's the headline from September 29th. Embarrassing Monday Night Football blowout loss to Chiefs sounds death knell for Patriots dynasty. That's on Bleacher Report.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
The Chiefs were 1-2. No, it was week 4. You're right. Yeah, the Chiefs were 1-2 and just killed them.
Wow.
Yep. They said about Brady, he still has the hair, he still has the teeth, he still has the supermodel on his arm. Number 12 still looks like number 12 in every way, except when it comes to playing football.
That's great. And he proceeded to be great for another 5 years.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yeah.
When I suck, Brady told WEEI before the season, I'll retire. On Monday, Brady sucked.
That's very funny. And that happened for Brady for like 10 years, the 10 years prior to that also.
The bottom line, Brady is no longer a difference-making quarterback. He can't save the Patriots season without help. It's hard to see where that help will come from.
Well, it's good to know that sports media has never changed. It's always been rage bait.
And they lost one more game the entire year.
Oh, God.
up until they got to the Super Bowl.
To be fair, that sounds like a crazy thing to.
No, that was 2017. Wait, which year are you looking at that they lost week 4 to?
This is 2014.
14.
Oh.
This is way long ago.
So then,
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was later. Okay, they lost 2 more games the entire season, but that counts a Garoppolo. And remember the Patriots Garoppolo talk when he was the backup and he was the
Garoppolo.
heir. Not to be like, do you remember this part of when we were kids in the NFL? But like,
I think people like that. I think that's okay.
I like it too. It's just, it was supposed to be. And then like Brissett had a game or two where he was good and they're like, they got Brissett too. Mm-hmm. And then there was a time where Garoppolo went and like he was pretty good for the Niners. Like he looked like the answer. He was like,
they went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but they were there.
That was even before. I'm sorry, I'm seeing Brandon LaFell on these stat lines, dude. Shout out.
Brandon LaFell. What are we talking about?
What are they Jinx. What are they talking about where it's hard to see where the help comes from for Brady? They had Gronk, they had Julian Edelman. Like that's low-key just enough.
Yeah,
they did get murdered that game.
Julian Edelman wasn't supposed to be good, but he ended up being.
Their leading rusher that year did have 412 yards, by the way.
There's a year for the Lions. It's crazy like that.
That's wild.
I remember. I think it might have been 2019 where the Patriots had they were the number 1 passing team in play action, but they were like 21st in rushing attempts and yards. Everyone's like, what in the world are they doing in this play action game? And someone I don't even remember who it was. They showed a run play and they showed a play action play overlaid on top of each other and they looked identical. And so people just couldn't tell when they were running or not. Oh man. Those Patriot teams were crazy, dude.
And next year they went 8-0 and there's 3 8-0 teams midway through the season.
Wow.
That was a good year.
Oh yeah. Shout out. So we've all got the Chiefs winning it. We've all got we don't all have the Broncos second. After that it's totally up in the air for us, it seems. So this will be a very interesting AFC West season. And let us know in the comments if you agree with us or if you disagree with us. And shout out to you guys so far on the Patreon.
Yeah.
I think we're already up to over 150 paid subscribers, which again, you guys don't have to do it. It's just, extra content that we'll be doing there. Matt's NBA pod. I think it was you two and then Carson and Logan, right?
From Nerd
That's
Sesh.
Right. Hell yeah. So if you guys didn't check that out, some are calling it the greatest NBA pod of all time. You were missing, of course, my expert NBA knowledge, but
yeah, you're getting my expert NBA knowledge. Where I think I speculated that Jokic is going to be washed from here on out on that
crazy
podcast. So You're getting takes.
You'll have to tune in to figure out.
You're getting takes you won't get anywhere else.
That's true. You won't get that take anywhere else, I would imagine. But so yeah, make sure you go check out the Stay Hot Patreon. It's a fun time. Theo and I did a preseason starter pack for the first episode there as well. So it's gonna be an absolute blast. And until next time, from your favorite three fellows here at Stay Hot, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.